More, and you're watching A Grey Daily One to Watch with Joivan Wade.
Hello.
Thank you for speaking with us today.
Anytime.
So yeah, you're definitely one to watch. We've seen you climb up in the industry. You've been working really hard. You first co-created a YouTube series while you were at Brit School called Man on the Wall.
Mm-hmm.
And then you were able to star in Youngers on E4 after that.
Yep.
And then we've seen you blow up to Doctor Who, EastEnders, and we will see you starring in The Purge next year
you will.
as well. So I wanted to ask you, at what point did you think I can really make something of this acting career? At what point did you gain your confidence to do that?
The confidence was when I wanted to go to the Brit School, really. I used to play football prior to acting, and I kind of said to myself, I want to do what I love as opposed to what I'm good at. And I was good at football, and my family background is entertainment, whether it be in sports or music, and I was the first actor within my family to be like, look, I actually want to be an actor and I want to start this journey. And so wanting to go to the Brit School was my first kind of step of saying, I believe it. I believe in myself, and I believe I can take it and take it the full way. And that was the kind of first mark of it, really.
Wow. So it was kind of when you started, you were going full pace.
Yeah. I don't really believe in starting something unless you have the belief that you can finish it, otherwise why would you start?
Yeah.
So yeah, that was definitely.
And when you started, so you said that you were in this dilemma between football and acting. Were your parents backing the acting at that point, or were they? Yeah,
I'm fortunate enough to I have amazing parents. My mum is like a life coach, and her mindset is, always been, you are what you are, and you can be whatever you want to be. You can be an underwater fireman if you like. Whatever you want to do, you can do it. Yeah. My dad was the most hardworking man that I know. And so with that mindset and that work ethic, that's what built me into who I am and allowed me to have those things installed.
That's a blessing. Yeah, my parents are really the same, and it just gives you the confidence to be who you want to be, what you want to be. Yeah. And
it's so important, like from a young point, to have the mindset, because from when you're like 3 years old until you're like 7 years old, those are your main years of just growing and really knowing who you are. And you hear those things from your parents, and whether they say to you, you can do this and you will be this and blah, 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 like that's what really installs in you to allow you to be able to grow into the man or woman in which you need to become to fulfill it.
100%.
So,
and only once you really start to become who you are, as well, when you get into that adult stage, you realize how much your parents' influences, you unpackage it a little bit. Like, I believe this because they were like this. I believe I'm doing this because of them. And then that's when you really believe, you start to see, the blessings.
And because you get the difference, like when you see like some of my friends who haven't necessarily had the same upbringing and background, and you see the difference in that you are a product of your environment at the end of the day, 100%. And based on your surrounding and the earliest point in your life, that's your parents, that's your guardians. And if they're not installing certain things within you, then you're going to have to get to a point where you have to find that stuff out yourself, So
I feel that, 100%. So, who were your inspirations, other than your parents? Who were your inspirations and role models while you were growing up?
I used to bang Fresh Prince like it was nothing. Will Smith was always like an inspiration, and like in terms of an icon of what I saw in terms of as an actor. When I looked at him, I saw like that is the top of your craft, and I want to be and will be the top of my craft. So you look at those who are already doing what you want to do. So at the time, it was, Will, and looking at what he'd done, even down to his mindset. And obviously he had a lot of inspirational videos on YouTube, which I used to just kind of bang out in my spare time.
We've all done that.
Exactly. So he's probably my biggest. And then kind of looked to the inspirations in the UK as actors, in which had, gone overseas or gone global, like the Idris Elbas and the Chiwetels, and, just wanting to really kind of immerse myself in creators and creatives who had done what I wanted to do. And those were the people at the time.
100%. Cool. So you kind of, how you started out was you had a lot of creative control within your YouTube series. You starred in it and you co-wrote it?
Co-created it. Co-wrote it,
So now, obviously, as you've grown in the industry, you're booking bigger jobs, and I'm presuming that you get a little less creative control. What is between that?
Yeah, I think like when you create your own projects, you always have the flexibility that you answer to yourself. which is one thing. So, you know, doing something like Man on the Wall, I'm the last point of call is me. So if, you know, you have the freedom to make decisions, acting decisions that you want to do, and you have the freedom to do essentially whatever you like and whatever you feel instinctively is going to bring what you need to bring to the piece.
Yeah.
And then when you are working on a project in which you are just an actor, if you will, and, you know, it's then you only have a certain amount of control within your own space. So you have the control over your character and what your character brings to the story, and the influence of being able to then influence another character based on how your character implements themselves into their world. Okay. And so, you know, it's very different to be in a space where you're like, oh, I want to try this, or I want to try that. And then you're like, really, yeah, of course I can. Space. Yeah. Or you're like, I can't try that because I know that they're not really feeling that, or that interpretation might feel. So when you're working with a director or a producer in which, you know, gives you that creative freedom, then it's great. And I try to kind of give as much background as I can of what I'm doing and what I do so they can see that there is a producer head or a directorial head in which allows them to feel more comfortable with some of the decisions that I might make.
Yeah. But which one do you prefer? Do you like having less creative control now, would you say? I mean, obviously you're booking bigger things, so it's all...
Yeah, well, I love having creative control because that's when I feel most comfortable, and I feel like when you're most comfortable is when you do your best work. And so then I know the bigger picture is that this project's going to be great, or I'm going to do the best possible version that I could because I felt free to do so, you know? Whereas when you're working in an environment where you feel capped, or you feel like, oh, I'm going to have to talk to the director about this, you don't have the freedom to maybe try things or just go off and present what you want to present. But then at the same time, it's nice to be in a position where you're not producing, writing, doing everything, you know what I mean? And that's the difference. So you can just kind of be on set and you're just an actor in this project. So you can really focus on all I have to do is do a great performance acting, and that's me. So pros and cons.